When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN. We're also carried by a number of the radio affiliates around Lancaster. This show is actually taped at Fairfield Christian Academy, and I appreciate the students behind the scenes, working the cameras, the control booth in there, and doing a number of things. Our executive producer is Kelly Roberts, lines the guests up and many of the questions, and do appreciate her behind the scenes work each and every week. Back by popular demand is Jeneanne Smyers. Good to see you, Jeneanne.
Good to see you.
If you missed last week's program, Jeneanne was here talking about CCW. She is with our Civil Division, a 16-year veteran of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. And as I mentioned before we went off the air last year, #1 employee for getting compliments to our office. So that speaks volumes about her. And so I think, let's talk a little bit about that. You're #1 as far as the compliments, and not to embarrass you or anything, but I think a lot of that is you just kind of treat people pretty nice. And so that speaks volumes.
I just try to treat people like I would like to be treated. I think it's important that everybody is, human, and they all need to be treated the same. Yeah,
and we talked about last week, or I don't know if we talked about last week, but we talked about sometimes when people come in, unless they have what was required, sometimes they don't like to make that second trip, do they?
No, they do not. No, they definitely don't.
So if you missed last week's program, real briefly, Jeneanne, before we talk a little bit about the Civil Division, CCW, what do people need to know if they want to get a CCW permit?
Okay, they're going to need to take the class. It's an 8-hour minimum class, 6 hours of classroom minimum, and 2 hours of minimum range time. Mm-hmm. They're going to need to complete the required reading and the application and give us a call at 740-652-7320 to set up an appointment. We do appointments Monday through Friday from 9 to 1 every 15 minutes. And for that appointment, they're going to have to bring that completed application, driver's license, social security card, their photo, or I can take one for $10, and then their fee, which is cash or check for payment.
Okay. And then once they give that to you, say typically the turnaround time is what, 30 days?
Well, we have 45 days per law.
Okay.
It's very individualized for their background checks, so it really depends on their specific history. Averages a couple of weeks, though. The usually only holdup that we have is getting results back from the fingerprinting for the state.
And also, people from other counties, if it's a adjoining county, they can come to us, right?
Absolutely.
So do you get a lot of people that come in from other counties?
We do, but really we do get a lot in from Fairfield County.
Yes.
But Franklin, I would have to say, would be the second most contributed to that.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with you go to Columbus, parking issues, and
Right.
and certainly I think you give great service.
Oh, well, thank you.
So that's always helpful. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that the Civil Division does within the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Well, Sheriff Sales goes through the Civil Office. We maintain all of the booking records. The reports from that are reported through Fairfield County are all kept in our office. All the service papers, we do all the vacation checks, and that's about it.
So the custodian of the records. And let's talk a little bit about Sheriff Sales, because again, I think that kind of peaked out, about 2009, 9, 10, 11?
Right.
So it's kind of gone down since then?
Yes, it is on the decline right now.
And then if someone was watching or listening today, and they might be interested in getting a home that has been repossessed, how does that work?
Well, they can check out our website, www.sheriff.fairfield.oh.us, and go to the sheriff sales. They're posted there with the dates. We also have photographs there. They are buyer beware, sold as is, so we do not have access to the insides of these properties, so they just need to be aware of that. 2/3 of the appraised value is generally what is required down at the time of sale, and it does say the dates of the sale on that posting. And the sales are held every Friday, usually at the commissioner's office. If not, they'll be held on the second floor of the courthouse.
Okay, so compared to where we were even just a few years ago, they really probably in half, aren't they? Is what they were in 8 or 9 or.
Pretty close. I'd say it's not quite, but pretty close to that.
So that was I was really kind of amazed back then the number of houses that were being foreclosed in our county, and that's got to be a difficult thing for families to go through, and
Right.
it certainly there's a certain sadness when someone would lose their home.
And being on the civil committee with the BSSA too, I was able to see that it wasn't just our county, it was all over the state of Ohio. And a lot of it had to do with poor financing by banks. Poor money management became an issue when, the recession happened.
People
and
lost
it just
their
made
jobs.
It wasn't like they didn't want to pay their bills.
Right.
They couldn't.
Right.
So it's a big difference than it was before all of that happened.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that's improved considerably. Now, you talk about you mentioned the vacation checks. So how does that work if someone is going to be going away on vacation?
Well, they can call us anytime, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, at the 740-652-7320 number. Basically, we will watch their home if it's more than 3 days out. If not, they'll do patrol in the area, extra patrol in the area. And they'll give us just general information, their address, if there's people going to be available to go to the property if they're not there, if they have any pets on the property, if they're leaving any lights on. And then we'll just kind of make extra attempts to go check on the property as we are patrolling those areas.
And that is the most popular program we have within the Sheriff's Office. Bart, I get a lot of nice compliments about that. We get letters in the Sheriff's Office from people thanking us for the vacation check. And what's really nice about this program, when people get home, we will send them a letter as to the dates we checked the property and anything we found that we thought was unusual or something like that. So again, it's a great program, and if you're going to be going on vacation this summer, let us know. We'll be glad to come out and check the property. Let's talk about fingerprinting.
Yes.
Many people come in for a host of different reasons to get fingerprints, whether it's for a job application, whether it may be for a landlord situation. So how does that work? And what are some of the things associated with the fingerprinting?
Okay. Well, they're going to need to know what kind of fingerprinting they need, if they need electronic fingerprinting or manual fingerprinting. If it's electronic, they're going to need to know if it's state, which is BCI, or state and federal, which is both BCI and FBI. State is a $30 fee. State and federal is a $50 fee, and it's cash or check. They'll have to bring their driver's license and social security card, and then we have a state form that they'll fill out when they come in, and it'll have the address where the results need to go on it as well. So they'll have to have all that information.
And do we have a lot of people come in to get fingerprinted?
Yes, to put it mildly, yes.
Yeah.
We actually have 2 fingerprint machines now because it had gotten to the point with concealed carry and all of the fingerprint requirements that we needed to get 2 machines.
And it's pretty painless now. I mean, it's electronic. You don't have to put, or maybe you do sometimes have to put the ink on the fingers and all that stuff.
For the electronic, we don't.
Yes.
However, after 2 submissions electronically, if they are rejected, then we do a manual print and submit those, or they submit those to them.
And what's the turnaround time on those? Now, if they get a local permit, it's like what, $5?
If they get a local local background check, which is just for Fairfield County, it's $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't include the whole state. That's only our records. The state has 30 days to process it. average is just mail time.
Okay, so that goes pretty quickly.
Yes.
And the other thing we talked about is reports that are filed within the sheriff's office, and that is any report that is taken within the sheriff's office. Deputies take reports, and it's filed there, right?
Correct.
And if someone would want a copy of a report, what do they need to do?
Well, copies of reports are 10 cents a page. Copies of accident reports are $4. That's a state mandate. And they can come in anytime, again, during those hours, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, at the 108 North High Street address, and obtain that. We do have a 5-year retention, so it would have to be, the report would have had to been made within the last 5 years.
Okay, and that, again, there's a lot of different things as far as the reports and things like that.
Correct.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that at least we're going to be moving into a new facility.
Yes.
About a year from now,
Yes.
and that's going to make everything a lot better, right?
Oh, I hope so. We are
Yeah.
definitely running out of room to keep all of our reports in.
And what are some things that has to be retained? First of all, on CCW, getting back to that, is there a record kept within the sheriff's office on the permits and everything?
Yes, we keep the record itself, the application information, but all of the background check information we have to destroy within 20 days of issuing the license. So every 5 years that they renew, we have to do a complete new background check because they could have either committed crimes during that time or the laws could have changed and there could be disqualifiers that would make them not be able to get a renewal.
Okay, and so again, the CCW occupies most of your time, about all your time, right?
And it is all confidential. All those records are confidential, so they are not public record.
And we mentioned last week that one of the things you do is you teach other agencies and work with the Buckeye State Sheriff's Association. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you share with the other agencies throughout the state of Ohio.
Well, we've gone through, we usually try to do them in different quadrants through the state to make it a little bit easier. And we do, when the new sheriffs come in, we'll do a training with the new sheriffs and their new staff usually. We do have a lot of people that come in to get repeat information or new information because the laws are always changing.
Okay.
But we train on all of the civil aspects, the sheriff's sales, the reports, there's a lot that goes through with service papers and how they are to be administered and returned back to the courts, and there's enforceable writs and non-enforceable writs and so forth.
So, well, that's and so you do that every time there's like every 4 years there's a number of new sheriffs that are sworn in throughout the state of Ohio, so you're part of that training.
Right.
Well, we're just about out of time. Jeneanne Smyers, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And does a terrific job. And again, if you're interested in more information, whether it's sheriff sales, whether it's fingerprinting reports, feel free to call our civil division. They'll be glad to provide that information for you. Well, we're just about out of time. Again, I do appreciate the students here at Fairfield Christian Academy behind the cameras, J.T. Burcham, the instructor here. And certainly I'm appreciative of all you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Our executive producer is Kelly Roberts behind the scenes. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to call me. We get calls each and every week. My number in the sheriff's office is 740-652-7252. Until next week, same time, same place. If you're driving, buckle up. God bless, and we'll see you right here next week.
These waters were woven into the culture of Native American tribes. The descendants of the early Europeans built a business here based on agriculture. And today, this unique destination in the central Ohio countryside comes to life with stories and memories centuries old. The Fairfield County Historical Parks invites you to amazing Rock Mill. Above the falls of the Hocking River Gorge, here together, nature and man have created some truly American stories that you'll want to experience with the entire family. Visit us or learn more about Rock Mill and the largest wooden water wheel in the nation at historicalparks.org.